Everything began with an eerie silence, as if nature itself was hiding a terrifying secret. In the heart of the Serengeti, that vast land where life and death breathed together, the calm turned into a nightmare no one could have imagined. The lions, the majestic kings of the savannah, began falling one after another. Mighty males, unmatched hunting females, and cubs bursting with vitality, all fell victim to a mysterious, hidden, and devastating weakness. It all happened in 1994, the tragic year when a brutal epidemic swept mercilessly through the lions, leaving scientists stunned and confused as they asked, what was killing the champions of the savannah? Stay with us to uncover this terrifying hidden secret and the story of the lion who defied death, the hidden death mystery. The answer was not simple. It was far more terrifying than anyone imagined. It was not a single enemy, but as if nature itself had turned against its lions. Two separate diseases, which had never caused devastation when they appeared alone, joined forces under harsh climatic conditions to create a perfect biological storm. They combined canine distemper virus, usually linked to domestic dogs, and babesia, a parasite carried by ticks resembling malaria in its destruction of blood cells. Together, they formed a lethal weapon. But what made these two old enemies turn into such deadly killers? The answer lay in the harsh climate of that time. Serengeti, the stage of wild nature. In 1994, the Serengeti was, as it had always been, vast and wild, astonishing in its beauty. It was the grand stage of safari journeys, where only the wealthy enjoyed watching this untamed world. Passionate scientists observed the big cats, recording every moment of their lives, their hunts, their coalitions, their bloody battles, and their hierarchies. The lions were the undisputed stars, reigning over the savannah with their majestic presence. But that year, the term global warming began to echo in scientific circles, though still seen as a distant threat. For field experts, however, the signs were clear. Rainy seasons were shifting, droughts would last longer, and the ecosystem was losing the rhythm that had kept it balanced for thousands of years. Drought and flood, the beginning of disaster. Then suddenly, without warning, the lions began to wither. At first, the symptoms were subtle: clouded eyes, staggering steps, and a fading appetite. But within days, the condition escalated to seizures, internal bleeding, and inevitable death. Entire prides vanished as if a deadly phantom swept across the savannah. Panic struck scientists. What could kill lions this quickly? It required intensive international efforts to unravel the terrifying mystery. The truth revealed a true environmental nightmare. The severe drought that struck the Serengeti before the outbreak had already weakened the lions. Many animals had died in the heat, and their carcasses became easy meals for the starving lions. But these carcasses carried babesia, which multiplied at a staggering rate. Then came the rains, but they were no mercy, only a curse. Floods swept the region, creating a perfect environment for ticks carrying babesia and canine distemper virus. The lions, already weakened by hunger, now faced a double assault from two unseen enemies. Massacre of the kings of the savannah. Other predators, like hyenas and leopards, were not devastated, but the lions, despite their strength, were the most vulnerable. The joint infection wiped out nearly a third of the Serengeti's lions. The savannah grew quieter, as if bidding farewell to its kings. For the first time, scientists witnessed firsthand how climate change could unleash a devastating epidemic storm. The lion who defied the impossible amid this devastation. An unbelievable story emerged. The story of a single lion condemned to death, yet refusing to surrender. He was named Asclepius after the Greek god of healing, for he was a living miracle. This lion, seemingly wrapped in death's claws, defied all expectations. But what made him different? How did he transform from a crawling skeleton into a king who returned to his throne in full strength? This story is not just about survival, but about lessons in perseverance and life. 3 groups, 3 fates. To understand the epidemic, scientists focused on 3 lion prides: R120, R121, and R122. The pride named R122 was the first to fall. This young group, which had not yet produced cubs, collapsed quickly. The dominant male was the first victim, followed by the females like dominoes. In less than a week, 122 rand was gone forever. In R120, something strange happened. The adult lions, strong and experienced, surrendered quickly. But the cubs showed lighter symptoms, yet they did not live long. Scientists debated and questioned further. Was the disease itself the cause, or the loss of maternal care? The answer was unclear. But in R121, something impossible began to emerge. Asclepius, between agony and resilience, R121 was made up of 2 males, 4 females, and 5 cubs, a strong and united pride. But the disease made no distinction. The adults fell first, then the cubs. But one male, Asclepius, clung to life. For over a month, scientists watched what they described as a slow torment. He crawled, emaciated to the bone, drank from tiny pools, and barely moved. He lay beneath a dead tree, motionless, until rodents mistook him for a corpse. Yet, in those moments of despair, he caught a mouse here, a lizard there. It was just enough to keep his heart beating. The turning point. Scientists prepared to record another death. But Asclepius refused the end. After 45 days of torment, the impossible happened. A jackal approached, thinking the lion dead, and bit him cautiously. In a primal surge, Asclepius rose and seized the jackal by the throat. That meal marked the beginning of his recovery. He did not stop with that prey. Asclepius devised a new, astonishing strategy. He would feign death, wait for vultures and small animals, then strike. With each catch, his body regained strength. He began to walk steadily, hunt carefully, and drink more. The disease seemed to retreat from his body, a scientific miracle. Asclepius became more than just a surviving lion. He was a scientific mystery. Did his blood hold the key to resisting both diseases? Could it save future generations of lions? Collecting a blood sample was risky. Sedating Asclepius might have killed him, and the scientists were not willing to take that chance. So they chose only to observe. Loneliness and the search for hope. Lions are social creatures, but Asclepius was alone. After his recovery, he did what lone males do. He set off in search of a new pride. Along the way, he found a sick, frail lioness showing the same signs of disease. She accepted him instantly, but she died days later. What shocked scientists was that Asclepius remained unharmed. Had he become immune? A king returns to his throne. Asclepius continued his journey across the savannah until he reached an area untouched by the epidemic. There, he found 3 young, healthy lionesses. He took control of the pride with ease, fathered strong cubs, and fiercely protected his pride. He had become king of the land. But as always, the savannah's struggles were merciless. In 1997, a younger, stronger lion appeared. A brutal battle followed, and despite his courage, Asclepius was defeated and killed in the end. An unanswered mystery. After his death, scientists brought his body and examined every part, his blood, tissues, and bones. But they found nothing. No genetic mutations, no unique antibodies. Years later, a new theory emerged. Asclepius had survived because of what he ate, and through his unique and clever hunting strategies, he had sustained his immune system long enough to overcome the disease. A lesson from a king. Asclepius was not just a lion. He was a symbol of life and resilience. No matter how harsh and painful the circumstances, sometimes the solution is simpler than we imagine. Perseverance, willpower, and adaptability can create the impossible. In the heart of the savannah, Asclepius taught us that hope is born from challenge, and that life, no matter how fragile or exhausting, does not surrender easily.